The plot of the film Train to Busan makes the viewer remember another bright South Korean thriller, Snowpiercer, filmed in 2013 by director Bong Joon-ho, and showing the life of survivors on a train after a global cold snap. Both films show an apocalypse on a train, but the content is an example of antagonist films. Bong Joon-ho made complex films where the train rushing across the icy planet represented a metaphor for human society, with its social injustice and division into classes. At the tail of the line-up are the social rank and file, which the fascist dictatorship feeds with protein biomass from processed beetles, and at every opportunity they are reminded of their place with the help of a system of harsh punishment. A bloody revolution began with the gradual advancement of the humiliated and insulted to the locomotive. And yet the film Snowpiercer only at first seems like a movie with leftish bias and a desire for justice through revolution. At the end of the film, everything is turned upside down. It turns out that the system itself planned a bloody riot in order to reduce the excess number of passengers in terms of life support. The creators of Snowpiercer, with obvious skepticism, refer to both the revolutionary pathos and the possibility of a positive scenario for the survival of mankind. In the movie Train to Busan, the causes of the zombie apocalypse are not directly named, but from the replicas one can understand that it is the sharks of capitalism who are to blame for it. Who were ready to sacrifice the interests and safety of society for the sake of profit by financing dangerous scientific developments. The director insistently pronounces the main idea of the work: you can survive and win only by uniting and forgetting about selfish aspirations. Helping to illustrate the message is the almost criminal Yeon Sang-ho, a well-connected businessman who is literally willing to walk over a corpse to stay alive. By the end of the movie Train to Busan, we see that after the death of protagonist Sok-woo, only his daughter Soo-en and pregnant Song-kyun remains alive. The locomotive, in which they were left alone, rushes through the green fields and forests. In the frame, we see blooming beauty, filled with life. protective structures along the way. The locomotive stops. Both heroines go through the tunnel through piles of corpses and fires. The city is guarded by the military, who at first received an order to eliminate Soo-en and Sok-kyun, but then, having heard the children singing of Soo-en, they decided to save them. There was a command: cover them. In these simple words, you can hear the warmth of the human mind, not acting like a programmed machine, but relying on the feelings and emotions. And also, we do not know if Busan will eventually be able to resist the fight against zombies, but thanks to the filmmakers, the audience is given hope for salvation, goodness and common sense. Thus, we see two possible outcomes in Korean apocalyptic films. In both films, in fact, only children survived, who take over from adults. What future awaits them? In the first film, Snowpiercer, death among the snows and polar bears. In the second, the hope of reuniting with people and meeting with the mother, and their path to home, a better future, as we have seen, is not obvious. It is not at all necessary that it will be associated with irresponsible capitalism or, on the contrary, with revolutions and the death of the capitalism structure of society. However, in any case, the future, according to both sociological concepts and the ideological concept of director Yeon Sang-ho, should be associated with active collective actions of people towards creating a just and safe society. The protagonist of the film trained to Busan Sok-woo before the disaster was a typical high-ranking manager. In Sang-hwa's terminology, a person who is used to working over the heads of small people, a bloodsucker. It is for such highly paid managers the philosopher practitioner Andrew Taggart conducts his training programs. Taggart poses the question, why is one of the main idols these days is Elon Musk, especially for those who work in the IT industry. The practical philosopher believes that the answer to this question is connected with the concept of the era of bourgeoisie, which characterizes our time. The era of bourgeoisie means a gradual shift in public consciousness that began around the 19th century. This period can be divided into several stages. First stage, bourgeois paradigms and reassessment of values since the beginning of the 19th century. The former values of aristocrats, honor, pride, as well as Christian values are gone. They began to be supplanted by bourgeois values, prudence, restraint, the ability to earn trust and honesty in transactions. Aristocrats, honored heroes, Christians, honored saints, bourgeois, honored practical entrepreneurs, and most of all visionaries such as Steve Jobs and Elon Musk. The soul searching has led people to judge themselves and others by how they make a living. Second stage, labor society from 1945 to the present. After the Second World War, another process began, the gradual transformation of people into workers, when work takes up an increasing part of life. The period after World War II was marked by economic growth. For example, many middle-class Americans could afford their own homes, comforts and technology, separate leisure from work, and retire in peace. By observing their parents' well-being, Generation X and later Generation Y believed that their prospects were even better. Formerly, people in the US today work less than they did in the 19th century. The work week has shrunk from 70 hours in 1830 to 40 hours today. But the numbers do not reflect the qualitative characteristics of the work that has become the basis of our social identity. The third stage, threat of technological unemployment, our possible future. This stage is associated with the development of artificial intelligence and machine learning. The result of these processes may be unemployment in the transport industry, manufacturing, services, and other areas. Does this mean that people will feel like a useless class and generally useless people? Taggart writes that modern people find in personal productivity an escape from suffering, happiness, or at least something that will give us a chance to be happy, but this is an illusion. The goal of productivity is the preservation of working society. There will be no need for labor, and the idea of productivity will be devalued. In addition, each of us strives to overcome the emptiness of our lives, the vacuum that arises if it is not filled with work. That is why the life hacking has been so popular in social networks in recent years. It is easier to solve simple problems than to answer important, complex questions related to the meaning of our existence. These questions are philosophical in nature. Who am I? What is the meaning of life? The labor society, with its constant employment and the race for productivity, distracts us from thinking about these issues. The director of the film Train to Busan, Yeon Sang-ho, is looking for answering to these questions and finds them in his own way. In our opinion, the general message of Yeon Sang-ho's film leads the audience to the idea of love. We see how in the face of death, the film's characters make a moral choice in favor of their loved ones. Sok-woo jumps from the train to save his daughter Soo-en. Sang-hwa dies in a fight with zombies, helping his wife Song-kyun. The elderly woman volunteers to visit her infected sister, wanting to thank her one last time. Jung-guk is unwilling to run away from the zombies without his beloved Jin-hee, preferring to die with her. The homeless man also sacrificed his life, allowing Soo-en and Song-kyun to escape. And the director of the company, Yeon Suk, in the last moments of his life, remembers his childhood and his mother, who probably loved him more than anyone in his life. Indeed, according to the findings of modern psychologists, there are practically no such people who in the face of death think that they did not work enough. The director believes that his animated films are the manifestation of the ideal world, but in feature films you have to cooperate with many people, focusing the audience ratings. In this sense, it is understandable why he turned to the idea of artistic depiction of global risks in the form of zombies. In his interview, he even expresses concern that in the case of his next film works, he will not be able to attract such a large audience. Today, we analyzed the image of the future in the modern world on the basis of Yeon Sang-ho's film Train to Busan. I'll see you next time.